Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our third session of Doing Business in Europe, presented by Terra Advisors. Today, our focus is going to be on Spain, with the main theme being, why is Spain the gateway to Latin America or into Latin America? So just a brief overview on Terra Advisors. So we're a business development consultancy. We've been in business for 12 years. We've worked with more than 120 clients when they're entering new markets, mainly companies moving from the US to Europe, but we also go the opposite direction from Europe to the US. We're joined today by Manuel Maese, who is been working with Terra Advisors for about 10 years on various projects. He's an independent business development professional. He's been doing this business for 20 years approximately. He's had more than 20 clients over that time period, maybe more than 25 clients over that time period, who he has helped to enter into the European market. He's based in Madrid. He went to school in the US, did his university studies there, so he's very fluent in English as well. And we're happy to have Manuel with us today. So thank you, Manuel, for joining us.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for having me.
Excellent. So the webinar today will be about 25 minutes, and it will be divided into two sections. The first section will be just a current snapshot of how things look in Spain today, specifically focusing on three areas: the health situation, the political situation, and the economic situation. So we're here on the 15th of July, 2020, in the midst of the Corona COVID-19 worldwide pandemic. So that's one of the main reasons for Manuel giving us a picture of what things look like today in Spain. The second half, that'll be about 10 minutes, the first part, and the second part will be about 10 minutes as well, where we'll focus on this theme of Spain as a gateway into Latin America. So with that, I'll turn off the screen sharing here, so we'll just have the video. Manuel, we'll go over to you. So the first question, as I said a moment ago, is focused on the health situation. So obviously everybody who's listening knows we're facing this worldwide health crisis. Spain was in the news early on, along with Italy, as one of the countries that had facing some of the biggest challenges early in the crisis. So I guess now into July, mid-July, give us a picture of where things stand and sort of what transpired over the last 4 or so months.
Yes, exactly. As you say, we were one of the countries in Europe most brutally hit. Also the second one, let's say, right after Italy. Unfortunately, our administrations failed to see the lead from Italy or thought that maybe it was going to be contained there. And we got it right after, and it was brutal in terms of infections and deaths per million, and brutal in terms of the effect on society and the economy. Right? We had one of the most severe lockdowns in Europe. Right after that, starting mid-March, and it lasted for half of March, all of April, and half of May. And then we had a month of unlockdown by phases, which lasted all the way until mid-June, and so, or a little after mid-June. And so the pandemic, or let's say the most severe health effects and the saturation of the hospitals and all this was contained. And what we now have is some pockets of infection that are mostly under control, and some micro lockdowns. So they just announced recently some lockdowns in some town or some area within a province in Catalonia, and also in Extremadura or in other areas of the country. All right.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So that is, I mean, it's all relative, but it seems that Spain has handled the situation relatively well. There's other countries worldwide where people know that they're facing even much greater challenges. So nothing operates independently of itself. So, the next topic we wanted to cover quickly was just the political environment. I think many of our attendees today and people that listen to this broadcast later are not really familiar with what's going on politically in Spain. So maybe just give us a brief overview and how they responded to this situation.
Sure. So we had our last general elections on November 2019, and the new government was formed in January of this year. So right in time for the pandemic. Unfortunately, it was a government that was a left coalition government of the socialists and the communists, which was geared for social spending and another type of situation. Whereas right now they're going to have to face and deal with the deepest crisis, mostly economic crisis in the country in recorded history, I think. So they have to really change their outlook completely. There was an analyst that said that we had a government for a party, and we had to now be into a very heavy crisis. So we're not really geared for this crisis. Having said that, already the government, no matter what you think politically, has already started to change their messaging and also their approach and measures. So they're now more practical, I think, or I hope, in dealing with the crisis. The social spending is going to be curbed. It helps that we are in Europe and also being helped by Europe with some extra debt and grants and everything, because that means that we will be checked from the outside also, that we don't go crazy on spending. Debt is ballooning, obviously, but like the last crisis in 2008, at least Europe this time is not pushing for austerity measures. It is actually not making a fuss right now about debt, because right now what we need is the economy to restart. Right? Other sides, other political issues, such as, for example, what we had in the last 10 years as such of heavy activism by the separatists or the independentists in the Basque Country or in Catalonia, have died down, because they have really, they also have bigger problems at the moment on the table. So they're not really, at least right now, making any noise.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great. Thanks for that overview on the political. Then let's turn to the economic situation. I mean, worldwide, everyone is facing economic contraction in 2020 with an outlook to 2021, which is expected to rebound. So what is the situation in Spain?
So, this is actually right now our Achilles heel. Even if the health situation is not completely under control, at least it's not longer a worry. And the biggest worry right now is the economic crisis and how to get out of the recession, right? So it has been, it will be brutal if you look at the statistics, both by the OECD and the IMF and the European Union have predicted that Italy, Spain, and France, in that order, I think, will be the worst hit in economically in Europe. Well, reason being, we were also worst hit by the pandemic, but also had a very severe lockdown that completely paralyzed the economy. So now we have taken, the government has already taken lots of measures to go and support the population and also the companies, so they continue business. Namely, there's like 2 million employees that would have gone directly to unemployment, and the government is paying 70% of their salary. This is still ongoing, and they're waiting for the economic recovery to absorb these people before letting them go directly into unemployment. Namely, companies that have been granted some moratoriums on some payments, either to landlords or to larger utilities or other companies. And so all of the movement right now is geared towards increasing or reinitiating the economic force as much as soon as possible. Now, it goes very much in sectors. So obviously Spain has a very high dependency on the tourism sector, tourism and travel, some 13 to 15% of the GDP. And that has really, well, that has been the one that has died down the most. Nobody's traveling. No tourists were allowed, no foreigners were allowed into Spain until July 1st. As with the rest of Europe, people are taking they're being very careful with traveling as they used to. Last year, we had 82 million visitors in Spain. This year, we're assuming that around 10, 20 million will come, but not that many. And of those, the ones that will come will be the ones that already have a house here, for example, for a summer home here. So that is the sector that will be the most hit, and all sectors that depend on it. But for example, the tech sector or telco sector is not being hit as hard. In fact, some areas of it are increasing traffic, mainly because people are staying at home and obviously to do their entertainment and their work and their school all from home. So the services, level of services for telcos and for service providers has actually increased.
Yeah.
And
good. Okay.
The other sectors, e-commerce or at-home entertainment or whichever, have really been seeing a boom in this time and probably for the next couple of years.
Yeah. Good, thank you for that. So that's a bit of the sort of survey of what's going on in Spain right now. So now in the next sort of 10 to 12, 15 minutes, why don't we move to the other topic, the main theme of the call today, which was about Spain as a gateway into Latin America. Mm-hmm. I guess just give us since you're the person we're looking to for advice on this topic, I guess why don't we start with just what's your experience as a Spanish person doing business in Latin America? So what makes you somewhat qualified to speak about this?
Okay, so pretty much from the beginning, my first job out of university in the US was with an American company based in New Jersey doing business development in Latin America for them. So I was doing projects in Ecuador, Venezuela, Colombia, Argentina, and finally Mexico. Basically, those first 4 or 5 years of my career were traveling throughout the region. It was later that I continued in the region, even though my family or myself moved to London and to Madrid, but I continued doing all of the work in the region, totaling some 15 years of work in the area, namely having either lived or traveled extensively to Argentina for 1 year, Mexico for 2 years, Brazil for 1 year, and then some other years within the Andean parts from Chile to Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, Venezuela. So that's my background, or where I got the experience. I also, I'm fluent in Spanish because I'm a native, but also learned Portuguese, being 1 year the country manager for a company in Lisbon, in Portugal, but then later being for another year traveling to Brazil.
Okay, great. Okay, yes, I mean, you definitely know the region well.
Yeah. On top of that, I know the region, but I know the region from this perspective of tech companies, software companies, and telco companies doing business there and doing businesses with them over there or from here, from Madrid, to their subsidiaries or their local presence companies in Latin America.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so for a lot of the people listening today, an American company moving to Latin America, to Central and Latin America, is a natural extension of their business. One of the reasons for that is that the localization requirements from an American company to go into a Spanish-speaking country may already have been done for the U.S. market, since you have such a significant portion of the U.S. market that is Spanish-speaking now. Most right. companies will have at least have translated and done all of their customer or company information in Spanish. So, so a natural point could be they could say, let's go from here to here being the U.S. down to Central and Latin America. We're talking about a different model where they may come to Europe to get established first. So I guess the question may be, what is the history of Spanish companies doing business in Latin America. First of all, what has been going on there for like the past 30 years or so?
Right, right. So it actually started around some 3 decades ago when the first Spanish large company, wasn't even a multinational at the time, bought an asset in Chile, and that was Telefónica buying a carrier in Chile in 1989. Since then, it hasn't stopped growing. So much so that, in fact, they have invested collectively, all of the Spanish companies, some 160 billion euros in the region, either acquiring, investing into growing existing companies, or building new ones, expanding their footprint over there, basically. And actually, it has created global operators, global players out of national companies. The Telefónica, the national telco, was only present in Spain, and now it has reached a peak of 25 countries of presence. Banks, Santander and BBVA, are very prevalent with dozens of countries, and they would have been just a national bank. Same thing with utility companies, Iberdrola, etc. And that has created big monsters, regional monsters, and from that has also there's a phenomenon that has trickled down into middle tier companies. For example, there's a company called Fractalia that had about only 100 people in 2011, and by 2019 it had 900 people, with several companies that they bought in Latin America and centers, call centers in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. So they had really extended the footprint like that. So SMEs, or actually middle enterprises, have been able to also follow their natural large company customers into the region.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the rationale is that since some of the major players, banks, telcos, utility companies, are actually Spanish, that going via the headquarters to the subsidiaries is a much more efficient way to attack those companies than it is to go to the subsidiaries first, when the subsidiaries in Peru or Ecuador or Chile just say, we are not actually making those decisions. Those decisions are being made by the headquarters.
By the headquarters in Madrid, yes, exactly. Absolutely right. In fact, in my experience, this is what I have been doing all along. The headquarters sets directives, recommends global partners or global providers, selects tools, and even dictates the future, the strategic goals of the whole group. And then each of the national carriers or the national operators or companies are the ones that need to go and execute on that strategy. Many times it is very much more effective to go and talk to the headquarters here in Madrid. Most of them are, some in Barcelona, some other places, to them here. And if they see that as a very good tool, or see this as software or covering their need region-wide, they just push you to the countries, and it's a much easier sale. Having said that, I recommend doing both. So you do the group-wide sale, and you also do the local approach to each of them, because you may identify that there's one of their companies in Colombia has a more immediate need. It's actually looking for this type of service, whereas the one in Argentina does not need it at all, or has not come into this problem yet. And so looking into each of the countries individually also gives you an outlook, a good perspective, which you can use in your talks and your negotiations with the headquarters. So yeah, that is definitely a very good approach. Something else about this, companies have grown used to traveling and expanding with their customers or with their providers. So if you're a company with tools or tools for the utility sector, you may want to go directly to all of the countries that they have in Latin America, not just sell them in Spain. So that has made also regional players in all areas. If you're a software company that has already, like you said before, localized the app or the service or the product into Spanish, you may want to go and take advantage of that and offer it to the 500 million Spanish speakers that you have in the region. And so it is a very natural way of going directly into the region from most of the companies that are already set up here or growing from here.
Yeah. Okay, that's clear. The next topic was, or related topic was, so you talked about the what's happened over the last 30 years. So, and we have only about, I don't know, 5 minutes left here, so we're maybe beginning towards the end of the discussion. But so what does it look like today, the situation? And that may also, maybe you can also mix in there sort of what, because telco is, I know, one of the areas where Terra works, where you've worked. What is sort of the situation with telco infrastructure, even related to the coronavirus?
Right. So before the coronavirus, working from here with South America was actually quite, well, for me at least, it was easy. I was always having my mindset with 2 world clocks and 2 time zones. I'm married to an Argentinian, so I also have the Argentinian time zone at home. And it's actually quite easy, meaning you can do the work with the headquarters in the morning here. In the afternoon, you're talking to the people in the different countries when they're starting their day, time zone wise. In terms of flights, before the pandemic, obviously, there are shorter flights actually from here to South America, with the exception of Mexico, really, than from most of the US. And time zone wise, we are about 3 to 5 hours time difference to the East Coast, so Brazil and Argentina, and up to 7 with the West Coast, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, of South America. With Mexico is also 7. So it's easy. I find it easy. It's similar culture, obviously the same language, if you manage the language well, and similar practices or standards, especially if you're talking to the company that's a subsidiary of a Spanish company, because they are used to the Spanish practices. So you are actually, it's easy in that way. Sometimes you can do the, like we discussed before, of talking both at the global level or the regional level and at the group level and the country level. You can unlock an issue that you find locally by talking to the group people, where they see, oh, this is because of this, that, or the other, or no, don't mind that because now the new person is going to be doing this one, and he will unlock the situation, So, and then another thing that I find easy, or let's say from here, is that most of the support infrastructure, tax accountants, lawyers, law firms, PR firms that are working with them here, even media firms or advertising agencies, they're working from them here with the launching project. They also have their subsidiaries over there, and they also provide you the local support over there. So it's mirroring almost the infrastructure, the setup that they have over here.
Yeah. Okay.
In terms of the well, yeah, and like I said, the Spanish culture and the language, or Brazilian Portuguese language is definitely a must when you're talking to them, to be able to make sure that you understand where they're heading, and you also get on the nuances of what they're trying to tell you, even if it's the opposite of what they're actually saying.
Okay, good. Yeah, and in terms of telco infrastructure, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. For the pandemic, we've seen a very interesting thing. Spain itself had the least problems in traffic from home consumption, and that comes because of the last 10 years of investing heavily in fiber to the home. And we were, or I hope this is not just lip service from the telcos here, but they were actually comparing how they have suffered with traffic bottlenecks in other parts in Northern Europe. And in Latin America, it has a mixed result. There are many operators and countries that have bet heavily on fiber to the home, so that releases most of the traffic through the natural avenue. whereas others have used mobile technology to leapfrog the fiber deployment, and therefore left people with just the mobile connectivity. That has created a problem with everybody's home consuming for work, for school, and for entertainment, and clogging or making it less viable, really. And so now people are seeing that as an opportunity to go and invest heavily or get sooner on the deployments for 5G, for example, right? So I think that is also another area of opportunity now post-pandemic.
Great. Good. So we're about out of time, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Manuel. It was a very good overview both of the situation in Spain as well as this specific topic about Spain as a gateway into Latin America.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff, for having me.
Yeah, we hope the people on the line today enjoyed the call, and for those of you that watch it later, you also can benefit from Manuel's knowledge. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, and wishing you all safe and good day. Thank you.